Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into the foundational work of a real pioneer, the first great philosopher of the Islamic world, Al-Kindi.
So let's just jump right in with a question, a big one actually, that has been bugging thinkers for centuries. Can you really be a person of deep faith and at the exact same time a hardcore rational philosopher?
You see, back in 9th century Baghdad, which was this vibrant heart of the Islamic Golden Age, a huge wave of new, and, let's be honest, pretty controversial, Greek ideas was flooding in, and it was pretty much forcing everyone to pick a side.
And right into the middle of this high-stakes debate steps this one guy, Al-Kindi. He would go on to earn the title the Philosopher of the Arabs, precisely for his amazing work in trying to bridge this exact divide.
And what's really fascinating about Al-Kindi is, where he came from. He wasn't some outsider trying to rock the boat. No way. This guy was born into a noble family, he got his education at the literal center of the world's knowledge, the House of Wisdom, and he worked directly for the caliphs. He was the ultimate insider, which makes his attempt to reshape the whole conversation from within even more remarkable.
So, let's get a picture of the challenge he was up against. Baghdad at this time, it wasn't just a city. You got to think of it more like this massive intellectual crossroads, this real melting pot of ideas, which, as you can imagine, created some serious creative tension. So, on one side, you had your traditional theologians, the Mutakallimun. For them, the ultimate truth came from one place and one place only: revelation, the Quran. And they were, understandably, pretty suspicious of all this Greek philosophy with its, pagan origins. But then, on the other side, you had this flood of newly translated works from guys like Aristotle and Plato. And their whole thing was that you could discover truth using nothing but pure logic and human reason. Two totally different paths.
So, what does Al-Kindi do in the middle of this huge clash of worldviews? Does he pick a side? Nope. Instead, he comes up with a blueprint, a totally new way of even looking at the problem.
And this quote right here, it just perfectly sums up his core idea. He made this argument that, at the time, was pretty radical. Truth is universal. It doesn't have a passport. It doesn't belong to one culture or one religion. He's saying, look, if something is true, it's true. It belongs to all of us. And it's actually a noble, even a pious act to go find it, no matter where it comes from.
See, this was his genius. He completely reframed the whole debate. He basically said, hey everyone, the prophet and the philosopher, they're trying to do the exact same thing, figure out ultimate reality. Think of it like they're both trying to get to the top of the same mountain. Revelation, he said, is like being gifted a helicopter ride straight to the summit. It's a direct, divine gift of truth. Philosophy, on the other hand, is the slow, careful, methodical climb up that same mountain, using the tools of reason.
Okay, so he wasn't just a talker. He didn't just theorize about this harmony. He got his hands dirty and actively built it. He literally took the toolkit of Greek philosophy and used it to explore, to explain, and even to defend core Islamic beliefs.
Take, for example, his concept of God, which he called the True One. He drew on ideas from Neoplatonism, which is basically a philosophical school inspired by Plato. And he described a single creator, a being of just pure, absolute, simple unity. This being was so transcendent it was beyond any category we could ever think of, which, as it turns out, aligned perfectly with the core ideas of Islamic monotheism.
And from there, he mapped out all of creation. And in his view, it wasn't just some random event. No, it was a logical, top-down process. He argued that everything kind of flows or emanates from this true one, this absolute unity, in a really structured and understandable way. And this put humanity and our immortal souls right into this grand cosmic order.
And check this out. He tackled a huge debate of the day. You see, most Greek philosophers thought the universe was just eternal. It had no beginning. But Al-Kindi, using the Greeks' own tool, super rigorous Aristotelian logic, argued that an actual infinite is impossible in the real world. Think about it. So if that's true, then time itself can't be infinite. It must have had a beginning. And just like that, he provided one of the very first rational, philosophical proofs for the idea of creation ex nihilo, creation from nothing.
But what is just absolutely staggering is this guy's range. I mean, he didn't just stick to philosophy. For him, all knowledge was connected. We're talking about pioneering work on code breaking using frequency analysis, developing the science of optics, applying mathematical principles to music theory. He even developed a mathematical scale for medicine to get drug dosages right. Because for Al-Kindi,
Studying any of this stuff was just another path to understanding the wisdom of the Creator.
So, at the end of the day, what's his legacy? Well, to stick with our metaphor, this one man's blueprint became the actual foundation for a massive intellectual structure, one that would stand for centuries and even cross continents.
And this timeline really shows you his role as that architect. He's the one who laid the foundation that later giants, guys like Al-Farabi and Avicenna, would build their incredible systems on top of. But the story doesn't end in Baghdad, not even close. When his works eventually got translated into Latin, he became this intellectual bridge, carrying all of these synthesized ideas straight into Europe and, in doing so, helping to shape the very course of the Renaissance.
The man was just unbelievably prolific. We're talking over 260 works on, well, just about every subject you can imagine. And in doing all that, he basically created the vocabulary for philosophy in the Arabic language, coining terms that are still used today. It's like he didn't just join the conversation, he invented the language they were all going to speak.
But really, his most lasting impact, the big takeaway, is this: he made it okay. He legitimized rational, philosophical thinking within a world of faith. He proved that you didn't have to choose between Athens and Mecca, between reason and revelation. You could be a person of both deep, abiding faith and profound, critical reason.
You know, Al-Kindi's whole mission, to seek truth wherever you can find it, to build bridges between what look like completely opposed worldviews, it just feels more relevant today than ever before, doesn't it? And it kind of leaves us with a final question to chew on. In our own era, which is so full of information silos and division, where are the bridges that we need to build today? And who's going to be the architect?